Hello, just a quick update really because we got the Q7 back from the garage and it went in about a month ago. As you know, if you watch previous videos, it had the EGR cooler replaced, it had the EGR replaced, it's had the oil cooler replaced, and it's had the turbo replaced. Like I said, it was about a month ago when it went in. We got it back after 2 weeks, paid the bill, 4,700 and something quid, so it was a big one. But we paid the bill, got the car back, and my wife took it to the coast, which is about 40 miles from where we live. So obviously there and back, 40 miles each way. Car was running fine, but we noticed on the driveway there was some oil patches. So next day we took the car back into the garage and had them check it over, and it turns out that the oil return line from the turbo needed replaced, because when they had replaced the turbo, they'd used the old line and they tried to sort of nip it up to make a seal, but it's a push fit, so it doesn't need it. So basically it needed a new oil return line, which they replaced. We had to wait they had to wait a little while for the part to come in, but they ended up replacing it, and 2 weeks later we got the car back, which brings us to now, which is a couple of days ago. Car's running fine, absolutely fine. My wife took it for the shakedown with the kids. She went down to, I think, Mansfield or something. So it's done a few hundred miles since we got it back, and there's no issue whatsoever. However, the day after we got it back, we tried to use the washer squirties, you know, the arm on the steering column to make the washer wipers squirt water, and they weren't working. And we thought, oh, that's strange, because a couple of weeks before the car went in, well, maybe a month before the car went in the garage, we actually replaced the tailgate of the car in the garage down the garden, because it had bad paint, and we got a new used replacement tailgate, and had to get all the electrics and stuff working. And one of the things that we tested was the rear washer wiper, which again is no longer working, and it was working back then, after we'd replaced it. So I thought, oh, that's strange. Maybe they disconnected the motor or something while the car was getting its work done in the garage. At that point I didn't know why they would have done that, but I thought, oh, maybe they just haven't plugged it back in. But I thought, well, before I get to that motor, because it's behind the arch liner in the driver's side, before I have to take all that apart to have a look to see if there's a connector needs connected back up, I'll just check the fuses. So I open the driver's door. There's a little panel on the side which is between the door and the dashboard. It's on the side. You pop that off, and there's a fuse panel behind there, and that's where the washer squirter wiper thing fuse is, or should be, because it wasn't there anymore. I thought, that's strange. So I put a new 20 amp fuse, 10 amp or 20 amp, whatever. I put a new fuse in there, and they started working. The squirter started working again. And I looked at my wife and we were like, but that was working a few weeks ago. So as it stands, I think the garage, for whatever reason, have pulled that fuse out and taken it. Now, quite why they would do that, I don't know. And I've got no proof that they did it, aside from the fact that I know for a fact the squirters were working before it went in the garage. And the only thing I can think of is that they were maybe trying to recoup some work, you know, get some work back. Because if we turned around and said to them, oh, you know, winter's going to come in a couple of months and the squirters aren't working, will you check it out? And we put it in the garage, and basically it's only a fuse that needs replaced that they've taken out. They could charge us a few hundred quid and potentially get the money back, or some of the money back, for having to replace the pickup pipe on the turbo that they broke. So to be honest with you, I'm not very pleased. But as I say, I've got no proof that they did it, and I can't really go marching in saying, how, you know, why did you pull the fuse out of the car? You know what you're playing at. So the only thing I can do is, you know, vote with my wallet and not use them anymore. That car has, as I say, has just had 4,700 quid worth of work. Last year it had the DPF replaced at the same garage, which was another 1,400 quid. So they've had over 6 grand out of that car on it by itself in 2 years. And my Audi is due a service as well, and I was going to put it in there. But it kind of makes you think, well, if they're willing to do that, what else are they willing to do to the car? Because I know for a fact it was them. No one else has touched the car. No one's been anywhere near the car apart from me and my wife. And we wouldn't pull the fuse. it was working perfectly fine. So that just means that someone at the garage has decided to pull the fuse for whatever reason, whether they needed a fuse or whether it was to get extra work or whatever. But it hasn't exactly put a smile on my face, concerning how much work, how much money we've put their way, and so you know, they won't be getting any more. And I mean, it's not really the point that you know, I know it's not a new car, it's not a brand new car, but it's our car, and what right does anybody have to sort of take parts of it to try to screw you out of a little bit of money? So I'm not going to name names, but if you are watching this and you are working at that garage, then you know, ask yourself a few questions, because you're a little bit out of order. I know for a fact you've done it, and unfortunately I don't have any recourse except to find another garage, which is exactly what I'm going to do. So thank you for completing the work that you did. The car seems to be working fine, but yeah, that's put a bit of a sour taste in my mouth, to be honest, and I won't be using the garage again. So that's the update. Car's back, bills paid, and I've put a new fuse in, and we've got working squirties again, which were working fine beforehand, as I say. So yeah, have you got any stories from garages where they've tried to get extra work out of you? Because yeah, it's put a little bit of a dampener on the whole thing. I mean, obviously I wasn't best pleased about the bill anyway, but you know, I was happy to get the car back and have it fixed. And yeah, I thought I had found a decent, trustworthy garage, but unfortunately, it seems they've obviously got someone working in there who has questionable morals, it seems. I'm not saying it's like the frontline stuff, because they seem to be lovely, but there's obviously a mechanic there who has thought, oh, I'll try to get a little bit of more work out of them by just pulling the fuse, and presume they're too dumb to figure it out on themselves, by themselves. But we're not, and they're working again, so car's back on the road. Anyway, thank you for watching. See you in the next one.